How's it going, friends, and welcome to the channel. So in this video we are going to be looking at an airbrush from Gaahleri. Now I want to say before we jump into this video very quickly is that this was sent to me for review. I haven't paid for it, but also on top of which they haven't asked me to say anything in particular, so everything on this airbrush is my own opinion. So this is Gaahlerie's GHAC-98d from their Ace Series. This particular one comes with a 0.38mm needle as well as a 0.5. Now it's a nicely chromed finish airbrush, very classic in its design, has a very nice trigger action, of course the restrictor which obviously restricts airflow, bowl which is nicely tucked in here, has a screw thread to obviously screw on to the airbrush. Now this is quite, I personally think this for this, because I think this is going to be quite good for sort of more of a fine detail. Obviously it goes to a larger needle, but I think this may be really good for fine detail. I think we could do it done with a bowl maybe about half the size with it as well, or all as if you like. Quick release for compressors, which is nice. Obviously we have the cap, which obviously reveals a needle there, and of course this has a self-centering nozzle which is going to be tucked away in the cap, so I'll very carefully put that down and not stab anybody. There we go. So there's a self-centering nozzle there, which I quite like, because this means for one reason for myself is the fact that, you know, once we've cleaned the airbrush out, pop the cap back on, there's no chance of obviously over tightening, which I've done on many airbrushes before and snapped the thread, so I'm quite glad of that. It's also supposed to help damage, well, not to damage it obviously, so yeah. But anyway, that's for the airbrush. Show you what else comes within. Obviously, as it says, the 0.5, which comes with the new housing as well as the nozzle there. Needle itself nicely packaged with the cover on the tip, and a little bit of lubricant, which admittedly I've never used on an airbrush, but I assume there are people that do. So anyway, obviously the most important is how this sprays up. So let's move over to the spray booth and see what this can do. So for the purposes of this test, I'm using the 0.38 needle. The reason being is I'm more interested to see what its fine detail is like. So obviously the 0.5, we know we're going to get quite, you know, a large spread and you know, good coverage. But like I says, I'm more interested in the 0.38. But as we can see, for this needle size, actually has, you know, a really nice coverage, and the paint goes down nice and flat and extremely smooth. I also think that feathered line there actually is quite nice and relatively smooth. I feel that's kind of a sort of a standard overspray and kind of something I'd expect when I've used my other airbrushes. I also want to see what it's like going around panels and doing some more finer detail. And again, I think that's quite good. My technique there could be a little bit better trigger control there, would have helped and give some nicer, smoother lines, but I think that's quite good, especially doing some pre-shading as well. I think that's quite, you know, quite a nice tidy line, apart from my heavy handiness on it. So I'll apologise for the out of focus here. I forgot to set the focusing on this bit. But I wanted to have a go at doing some freehand modelling, because in the future I want to do a Focke-Wulf 190 and do some of this freehand modelling. But again, you know, all down to control of the airbrush and the trigger. Again, I still think this is a really good airbrush for finer details, particularly light modelling or panel lines in pre or post shading potentially. But again, it all comes down to, you know, a bit of control of the airbrush. So on the note of post shading, I thought I'd give this a go as well, just to see, again, honing in me control a little bit better than what I had done before. But yeah, again, I think this is a great airbrush. I think it's fantastic with this needle size as well. Again, I'd personally prefer a slightly smaller bowl because you know, when you're doing this sort of stuff, you know, you're not going to need all that much paint. But I think you can see from here that, you know, the paint's gone down really smoothly. The lines are nice and tight. Again, a lot of it is down to control, and I generally think it is a really good airbrush. So very quickly, I just want to say a massive thank you to my channel members for supporting, and you guys also for watching and supporting the channel. If you'd like to support further, there are links in the description there. But I also want to say a massive thank you to Gaahleri for sending me this airbrush. It's very much appreciated, and again, generally in my own opinion, I think this is genuinely a really good airbrush. Time of recording, this retails at $79.99 US, which is roughly around about £69, which I don't think is really a bad price. So in conclusion, yeah, I think this is a fantastic airbrush to use, and it is really going to be good for detailing work. So all that's left to say is thank you to Gaahleri for sending this airbrush for review, and thank you guys ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.